You're listening to Knives Monroe versus the podcast, and we're here to be discussing sad stuff.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Knives Monroe versus the podcast. I'm Knives Monroe. How you guys doing? Hopefully you're doing well. So I'm bandwagon jumping, and I ain't doing this for clout. I ain't doing it for views, but I do have something that I want to say about Onion Boy that I haven't seen spoken about on the internet. And seeing how the Jeffrey Epstein of YouTube, I think in 2020, this is going to be the year that we deplatform this predator. I want to get this off my chest while I still can, while he's still making content. What I want to get into, and yes, I understand this is just another video for this guy. I'm not trying to bring more attention to him than he deserves or than he gets, but the truth is, if other people can have commentary about this guy, why can't I? Now, first off, I can't believe I even have to say this, but I don't think he's innocent, and especially with what's come out about his child most recently, an accident that happened. And, I'm not here to update you and spread gossip and be like, I can't believe this happened. But I will say that, if you want to know, just YouTube the motherfucker and you'll find out. As a parent, I'll tell you this. If my daughter, and I have a 5-year-old daughter, was in mortal danger, protecting myself was not the first thing I'm going to be thinking about. This guy's a scumbag, and I do think 2020 is the year. Not only will he be permanently deplatformed across all platforms that can help him make money, and more importantly, help him and protect him from luring underage women into something conspicuous, for a lack of a better term, to say the least. Yeah, this guy should not have the tools to do that. He wants to go make money, go apply to Starbucks, motherfucker. But using these tools to trap people, to trick people, to abuse people, something that okay. I actually have something that I want to get off my chest that I haven't seen on YouTube. But I will say I do not think this guy is innocent, and I don't want to defend him. This isn't that. And I don't want anybody to take this and spin it that way. That's not what this is. But something that we have to admit to ourselves, and, I'll just speak for me. Why do we give a shit about this guy to begin with? Yeah, he's I'm a banana guy. Yeah, he has a sense of humor that makes Tom Green look like, geez, I don't know, the funniest person to ever exist. I'm not here to defend any of that. But I will say that we got to give this guy credit. We got to give the devil credit where it's due. So this doesn't happen again in front of all of our faces. It's been 10 years that this guy keeps getting away with this. Let me tell you about my first impression of Onion Boy, of Greg, Onision, whatever he wants to call himself today. My first impression of this guy was, here's this Jared Leto wannabe, My Chemical Romance, emo, virtue signaling, arrogant, self-righteous, pretentious douchebag talking about being a vegan, talking about eating disorders, talking about the military and not a favorable light. And it was his Onision Speaks channel that I thought was interesting in the beginning. I'm talking 2009, 2010. And then, at the time he has multiple channels. And I'm not going to lie, even as a guy, there was something, boy, am I regretting saying this already, but it is what it is. There was something semi-charming, attractive about the confidence of this guy. But when you listen long enough, you realize, wait a second, none of this shit makes sense. None of it adds up. After a while, he started building a lore, a canon, his own mythology. that me and everybody else on YouTube have added to the fodder of. He's YouTube's biggest antagonist of all time. And his narrative, he's crafted himself. He calls himself the Joker of YouTube. I don't know if this is supposed to be some kind of compliment, but he kind of is. He kind of is the Joker on YouTube. Insofar as this guy's origin story is controversial, we'll just say. And I don't want there to be another Onision ever again when this guy's gone. That's right, I'm an optimist. I think one day this guy's going to fucking disappear. I have to believe that. With the diligent work that Chris Hansen is doing, the FBI, and guys like Rebzion and Stevie Wolf and Jacqueline Glenn and amazing people on YouTube who have been inspiring me lately because they've been chipping away at this story for a long time, for a very long time. And thank goodness, many of the victims and women, strong women, that it takes guts and courage to put your face out there forever and choose not to be identified by this, put this out there in the event of helping at least one more person. It takes so much guts. And something like this should never happen again at this scale on YouTube. But how did he get away with this in the first place? Well, there's something about cult leaders that are a little charming. There's something about cult leaders that have an infectious personality and they get at you. This is a guy that, reminds me of someone who never really grew up. He's kind of like Michael Jackson in that way. Like this Peter Pan figure of this person that's stunted emotionally, that has this arrested development. And so, he's like 16 deep down inside. And I understand that there's this clout factor and there's this, wow, even pre social media when it peaked, I think MySpace was around, Facebook was getting on the map, but even before then, there was something about him, and I will say this as a filmmaker, that I liked about him. I liked his outro, the O-Ni-Z, do-do-do-do-do-do. I was like, I like the way he is branding himself. He has a big channel, he has a Speaks channel where he lets down the mask, but, after enough time, we start seeing his canon, he manipulates that. At the end of the day, he can always cop out and say, I was in character. I'm doing a theater piece. I was acting. Oh, on Twitter, I was doing a bit. I'm a comedy channel guy. It's satire. And what's funny is he's like the biggest satirical figure of a satirical figure. He's the biggest phony liar for like a phony liar archetype. Anyways, he had these multiple channels, and the way he marketed himself, this guy almost has 1 billion views on YouTube collectively. When Stevie Wolf on Chris Hansen yesterday said, it's possible he's made, he may has made as $30 million in his career. That's very likely. It's very likely. How do these people get away with this? And I would love to cut into this video and show my vegan body. Wow! I'd love to show that. I showed my son that, and we've had such a laugh at that. I mean, what a freak! But what makes him the Joker of YouTube is that he baby faces himself. Anytime he gets in heat, he's the victim. He's such a pathological liar. He's an obvious sociopath that doesn't feel things. And when you look at his comedy sketches, I mean, they play off as, like these role play, fantasy, narcissistic, delusional, nearly schizophrenic, you can't call them skits. You can't call it acting. It's a form of pornography. All of it. And it got to a place for everybody. Everybody has their own threshold where they say, no, not for me. But I will say there's something about this guy that reminds me of a friend that I had once, and one of my ex-girlfriends left me for this guy. And I had to admit, even though it hurt at the time, well, this guy's cool. He's into video games. He's into anime. He's into things. Maybe he has a better sense of humor than me. He's got a 5-year plan. And but at the end of the day, I always thought there was something a little corny, a little scary, a little fucked up that, you know what, I was like, you can have this motherfucker. And he reminds me of that. And so it's strange, like you can't help but watch this train wreck, this like car crash in slow motion. You can't help but rubberneck and see what's going on across the freeway because he's a walking disaster. I remember when the Shiloh stuff was happening live. I remember when Shiloh had her seizure, and as a person that has seen like his loved one had multiple seizures so many times, and I have, that was a grand mal seizure for sure. And he took out his camera and filmed her. What the fuck? Because he knew I can get views out of this. You know, the difference between him and the Joker, and why he's not the Joker, but he kind of is because he's real, is, you know, Joker never really gave a fuck about money, right? Doesn't he burn the entire mob's mountain of cash? And he says it's about sending a message. For Onision, it is about the money. It is about the money. It's about the relevancy. I don't think the Joker gives a shit about relevancy. And I would say the main defining characteristic that doesn't make him the Joker is he doesn't have a nemesis. His nemesis is this hedonistic relationship that he has with women and his audience. It's strange because we live in a time now where you have your Harvey Weinsteins. You have, you know, even on the far other end of the spectrum, your Louis C.K.'s who've been canceled, even though I don't, you know, whatever your thoughts are on that. Maybe it's apples and oranges, but say that to the victims. You have your Bill Cosby's, you have your Jeffrey Epstein's, and these guys get away with it for a long time. Nobody speaks up. And thank God, now people are saying enough is enough. So this is a plea to Kai, Onision's wife, husband, whatever. This is a plea to you if you're watching this, if this somehow makes your radar, if you have any of the tendencies that Greg has being a narcissist and you get off on watching all these people react to you, I think you could be the one to stop this. And this could be your legacy for the better. Maybe you should turn Greg in or leak something. I think you have all the arsenal in your corner and get help, you know? And maybe I watch a lot of Law and Order SVU, but like make some sort of plea deal. And, you know, this guy obviously seduced you and tricked you and coerced you. Obviously. And he denies it. And like when you listen to him rant and try to make sense of things, it so doesn't fucking make any sense. I can understand how it's hypnotizing. And this is like his skill. He's like the best at turning something around in a way that makes no comprehensible sense whatsoever and gets you to just give up in fighting. He's the world heavyweight champion of manipulation. You got to give him credit for that. You do. He's a tremendous piece of shit who fake acts, and, you know, I just love the way he paints his narrative. That's what he does the most. You know, let's compare him to another comic book character. Thanos. You know, Thanos snaps his fingers, wipes out half the universe. He could have snapped his fingers and multiplied the resources on every planet, right? He could have just multiplied the food, multiplied the water, and all the resources. But now he's like, let's just get rid of half the species. And it's like, but he was so sure of himself, right? Like he was like, this is the way it has to be, and only I am the ultimate arbiter of, you know, I got to do the greater good. I got to kill my daughter. I got to carry that burden. And it's like, no, you fucking don't. The audacity, the arrogance, and that you're the judge, jury, and executioner, that's what makes him a good villain. I understand. It's the same thing with Greg. You know, he thinks that his frame of looking at the world is the right one. And in that one, he thinks he's innocent, but then he apologizes and says, I'm going to grow and I'm going to get better. But then he doesn't. Bro, no matter how you want to look at this, people say heinous things about maybe he pushed his child off the window. I don't know if I believe that. That's almost too frightening to believe. I don't know what he's capable of. It's negligence. And I'll tell you this, as a parent, shit. If my daughter choked on a piece of food at school, I would somehow blame myself and feel like I should have been there, even though it's not my fault, But there's just like this inherent responsibility and guilt that a real human with blood pumping in their veins would have with their kid in harm. Did you see the tweets he made? The disgusting tweets he made while his child was in the hospital. This is enough to cancel this motherfucker. He takes his cell phone out and he tries to exonerate himself of any guilt. Why are you? I understand that you'd feel guilty. You'd feel like this is your fault in some way, and it kind of is. No one's paying attention to this kid. But for your first thought is self-preservation. You're a pig. You're a pig. That should be enough to cancel this motherfucker. It's stunning to me how this guy continues to be, and watch very closely, because if there's something that he does, it's, why do we watch like murder porn? Why do we watch, why do we listen to Serial, the podcast? Why do we watch Making a Murderer? And why do we watch these true crime series, which most people that watch them are women? And I think it's so they could develop that sixth sense, that self-awareness, the spider sense to detect something creepy, before they can get in danger. And so, like the poker tells, where someone lets their hand go for a moment, and I've gone on way longer than I wanted to, so I'm gonna wrap this up soon. But like the poker tells, he slips and he fucks up and he breaks continuity in this self-aggrandizing lore of himself, the Onision Chronicle. There's got to be a part of him that feels like, yeah, but when it's all said and done, what they're gonna say about me. He's the villains in his premature YA books that are terribly written, flaws and all. Like, he's the antagonist, even though he thinks he's like the right guy. I Greg, if you're watching this, you're a disgusting pig. And you could look at me and you take one part out of this on me and spin it and attack it, and you're only going to hear one thing, but here's the thing, brother. Actually, you're not my fucking brother. You're a cunt. That's what I meant to say. Listen to me, cunt. And I don't throw that word around for a lot of people, but if I had to save it for one guy, it'd be you, cunt, and that's... If there's a part of you deep down inside that knows you're a fucking psycho, go get help. Go get help. Do you realize how insane you really are? You're hurting other people, man. For the sake of comedy, for the sake of views? What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Disappear. How much money is enough? How much attention do you need? You're never going to be Shane Dawson. You don't have what it takes. You're not actually talented. The only thing that you're good at, if you have a black belt in anything, it's being a master manipulator. I'm sorry, as a kid, you did not get what you needed. You obviously didn't. Your self-esteem was never there. Was never there. So much so that you've had to humiliate women to feel better about yourself. And you've gone on record for that. Look at your fucking tweets when you're tweeting up a storm. Supposedly you were writing an erotic fiction novel or something. So you can say, well, I was doing a bit. Whatever, dude. If Chris Hansen came to my door and I was really innocent, and I was actually innocent, and I was being framed, and I was a true victim, I would let this guy in and say, look, this shit is fucking insane and I can prove it. These people are out to get me. I would do it. But you lied on the 911 call to the police saying that, oh, they're here because... You fucking lied. You're a liar. You're a manipulator. You're guilty, and a bad one at that. And because your narcissism cannot be contained, you've the continuity. You've broke it time and time again in this tapestry that you've created about yourself. Your mythology became a noose. You have the rope. And, you know, we all know Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. But you've built the rope, dude. And either way, I see this ending this year. It has to. It has to. And there's got to be justice for everybody that you've hurt. And now at this point, you know, for your kids, they need to be protected. And I'm a dad. Jesus Christ, like, what more needs to be done for these children? What more needs to be done? They haven't done anything to anybody. I got a bad feeling about this for them. I've seen enough of the true crime shows. This is not going to fucking end well for anybody. You've hurt enough people. I'm sorry that you didn't get the self-esteem and love from daddy or whatever that you needed as a little kid. It's not your fault. But disappear, man. Disappear forever. Why do you need to go on Discord? What the fuck are you doing? Why do you need this attention? Fuck off, man. Just get the fuck out of here. Sell your house, sell your Teslas, and go move someplace that, you know, that doesn't, where the overhead is low, and fuck off forever. I never want to see you again. Stop hurting people. That's enough. It's over, man. It's fucking over. Oh my gosh. I made an Onision commentary video after 10, 11 years. I never thought I'd do this. And I don't know what good this is going to be. Probably not going to amount to any. If you like what I'm doing and you think I'm a decent shit talker or whatever, follow my podcast, Knives Monroe versus the podcast, on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to me here on YouTube. Like this video. Leave a comment. That's how you help me. Leave a one-word comment. Everything that you do helps. And it's all in effort and just elevating each other. We're all like-minded geniuses here, minus Onision, of course. And, you know, I appreciate your support. Thank you very much for listening if you heard this on the podcast. Thank you very much for watching if you saw this on YouTube. Cue that outro.
Never ever believe anything you hear. And believe only half of what you see. And always, 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 forever and ever and ever, put a force field around your heart.